Welcome to Wrasslin Raw! All right, you're listening to Wrasslin Raw, the podcast that takes you back to when Raw became war and Attitude ruled. Thank you for joining us. You're here with Ryan Arico,
Mr. Austin! Mr. Austin!
Joe Giammatteo.
Don't placate me.
I'm the one and only Jason Bartlett. We're going to examine WWE history, one episode of Raw is War at a time. But first, coming up here next week, I just wanted to let everybody know that we're going to be taking a week off. It's Thanksgiving here in the States. We're all traveling. We're going to be meeting up with family and just doing things throughout the week.
Gorging ourselves.
Yeah, the time-honored American tradition of overeating.
But also, the big thing we'll be doing is exchanging gifts.
Yes.
For the podcast Christmas.
Preparation for our holiday Christmas episode.
Yep. I'm hosting this, and I'm quite excited that we have on deck a nice assortment of salted cured meats as well as hot toddies for the event. So it will be quite a good experience, as it is every year, and I'm looking forward to posting all of our gifts on Instagram for everybody to see. It's become one of my favorite parts of the podcast.
Everyone's going to have to wait, though, just a little bit.
That's right.
To our Christmas episode. We'll get to know what we have.
I get so excited whenever it comes to gifts because I don't like to wait for Christmas Day. I like to just open them early, let everybody know what it is early. That's just how I roll. With that being said, in this episode of Wrasslin Raw, we're going to be talking about the Raw that aired on October 26th, 1998. This Raw was recorded at the Cole Center in Madison, Wisconsin, and features Jim Ross and Jerry the King Lawler on commentary. Are you guys ready?
I'm ready.
Ready.
All right, then. Let's get into it. We kicked it off here with a synopsis of last week's episode, with multiple statements and clips being repeated because I've come to realize that in a world where we easily pretend like it never happened, repetition reinforces importance here. So You violated me! That's exactly right. We can't forget that Vince has been violated, so we'll listen to it on repeat. The final emphasis was made on that letter that Stone Cold had left with Vince, as Vince was laying in a puddle of his own piss in front of a bloodthirsty Milwaukee crowd. After the proper intro, we got footage of Austin showing up to tonight's venue, followed by, much like last week, Vince McMahon coming out to a chorus of boos at the top of the ramp there, surrounded by stooges. The big boss man is still wearing that stupid fucking ski cap, and I'm going to note it every time because it looks horrible.
It just makes no sense anymore. We know who he is.
You know what it made me think of whenever I was watching this? He looks like one of those little Among Us, like aliens, because he's just like this black blob with a kind of like a visor thing sticking out of a ski cap, and that's it.
Maybe he's just cold. I don't know.
Yeah. I also had to note here that there was a pretty cool-looking drum kit in the background, and I was really excited. I thought maybe Sawyer Brown might be performing for us again.
Fishbone.
Vince got on the mic there. He not only blamed Steve Austin for the way that he was treated last week, but the fans in the crowd also. Vince highlighted for us how the citizens of Wisconsin were directly to blame for what happened. We're talking failures of the police department, the inaction of the citizenry, the bloodlust of the crowd, all of which are part of what forced Vince McMahon to micturate upon a perfectly good Armani suit. Vince continued to highlight that literally nobody bothered to save him. None of his stooges were even present. This was all valid criticism, by the way, by Vince McMahon, who was the victim of a kidnapping and assault last week.
And the masked big boss is the only one that got off because he was taking his family away.
Yeah, I was very happy that he left the boss man out of it because he was the only one that actually did what Vince told him to do.
Other than fucking leaving the mask on.
Yeah, right. Vince revealed to us after that paper shoved into Bedpan McMahon's pocket was some kind of legal documentation. We weren't quite sure what that was just yet. And then in a bout of perfect timing, Stone Cold Steve Austin appeared up on the Titantron, making a comment about Vince pissing himself. After that, commentary gave us some notes about the card. They continued to highlight that we did not yet know what that legal document was all about, and things quickly moved along. So, guys, another great start to the episode. Following the established formula here, Vince shows up to recap last week's story and start this week's story. I just love the fact that even Vince thought the lawlessness of Milwaukee was notable. Ryan, what'd you have on the way that we started the evening here?
It's a great way to start everything off. Let's remind everyone about the fantastic episode we had last week, and in doing so gets the fans to hate him just a little bit more as he comes out here and whines about pissing himself and it's our fault and the cops' fault. It was the cops' fault. They didn't do their job. But the fans, what do you expect from the rowdy crowd? They're going to ask for blood. So I don't know why McMahon was surprised at that. That's what they're here to see.
Yeah.
The one thing completely dropped out of my mind last week, Austin stuffed the letter into the pocket because of everything else that was happening, the gun,
right,
the rape, murder, and torture that was going on. I completely forgot about that. They reminded us of it here, and it's obviously the entire point of this week's episode. So what a great transition from episode to episode, from something I didn't even remember from last week is now the main focal point this week.
Yeah, I agree. I liked the almost slow-mo type video that they showed at the beginning, and you could hear Jim Ross saying, "What's in that letter?" Which sort of led into this. So yeah, that's very good. And this is a good opening segment for sure because it's just direct follow-up from last week. And not only that, but they're showing that Steve Austin is here. So that's going to make you not change the channel. So really good opening segment here. Really, Vince pointed out all of the things that I pointed out as my highlight last week for anyone that listened.
Yeah.
My highlight was this bloodthirsty Wisconsin crowd and the lawlessness as well.
Yeah. We'll get another little taste of here tonight. It doesn't seem like Madison is as bad as Milwaukee, but we'll find out as we go through the evening. Things were moving very quickly here. We moved from segment to segment really, really quickly throughout this entire episode. So without beating around the bush anymore, let's get into our first match of the night. X-Pac defeats Steve Blackman by disqualification in 2 minutes and 51 seconds to retain the WWF European Championship. We got some details on that arrest of Chyna last week. It was because she had failed to appear to a court date, which makes sense now. Chyna has taken a leave of absence in the meantime to deal with her legal problems, but at the time I do remember questioning, why is a sexual harassment charge a lawsuit leading to an arrest? But if you don't show up to court, that'll do it.
That's an extra charge.
Yep. But at the start of this, rather than going to the match, we went back to Vince McMahon being wheeled into a room by a cadre of lawyers telling them to fight that document.
Break it.
Only after that, we went to the match, which started out well. I was really interested in seeing these two styles together, and I wasn't disappointed in the first minute of the match. X-Pac was selling those martial arts moves really well. The Irish whip in that first opening series was fucking brutal, and the disqualification for this came when the man's man, Steven Regal, came out to attack X-Pac, followed by the Outlaws defending X-Pac. Steve Blackman was left standing in the ring with a confused look on his face, unfortunately. Commentary helped us out here. The King said that he thought this was because Steven Regal thought X-Pac was a terrible European champion, not being from Europe and all, and the feeling was that Steven Regal would make a better European champion. And I like that logic, and I appreciated commentary letting us know that's what's happening. Sometimes all it takes is just a quick sentence from them to keep you clued in and up to speed. So things pretty much ended there. This was a short match, but I thought the action in it was great. As a matter of fact, I thought this was the best Steve Blackman has looked so far. That's partially due to X-Pac visibly talking Steve through the match and selling for Steve, but I also liked the run-in and the rationale for the run-in from Steven Regal. So, Ryan, what'd you think of this?
I'd agree. I thought Blackman looked pretty strong here, and I think you're also correct saying X-Pac probably deserves a good chunk of that praise for making that happen. But it's become a bit of a pattern with X-Pac where we get matches that are very interesting and would like to see more, and then they get interrupted.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily hate this interruption, especially because we got all the teasers for the man's man, but we finally got to see him here. I think, Joe, you said he got injured or something. That's why there was a little bit of a lag, right?
You see he was wearing that little sleeve on the knee, too.
Right. So the interruption was good and it worked here, but I would have really liked to see more Steve Blackman and X-Pac because I thought this was a damn entertaining match. And I also had to point out X-Pac's Irish whip into the corner. I think it was a few weeks ago I pointed it out as well. He's getting up there in Hart family territory with his, the way he takes this Irish whip. It looks great. So all around, very short segment, but I thought it packed a lot of good stuff in here.
Yeah, if anyone's going to make Steve Blackman look good, it's going to be X-Pac. It's just a good pairing, a good opponent for Steve Blackman for sure. And Chyna taking her little leave of absence, I think I might know what that's about. We'll talk about that later.
Bigger implants.
Well, no, I think these are the cheekbone reductions.
Facial surgery. So we'll have
facial reconstruction.
See what she looks like when she comes back.
Okay.
We could make her better.
Steve Regal, he's a real man's man, so we like seeing him, and this makes sense to put Steve Regal in the European title picture, so I like this angle that they're starting here.
Yeah, couldn't agree more there. But we quickly went back to Vince after that match. Vince was still behind closed doors with his legal team. He was pounding on a table and yelling that his lawyers, quote, wrote it and you can break it.
I think that was probably our first real hint as to what this piece of paper was.
Yeah. After a commercial break, we came back to Michael Cole pointing out to us that even though Austin was fired at the pay-per-view, he is still getting a locker room with a name placard on the door and vowed to get to the bottom of it. And this reminded me of Michael Cole hunting down the source of the rumors that the WWF started back on that same pay-per-view. But that quickly took us into our next match. The Rock defeats Draws with Hawk and Animal by pinfall in 4 minutes and 41 seconds. The Rock did not have that weird intro music this time, but he did get a crowd pop, so that was good. I greatly dislike the look of Draws in LOD gear and face paint. I think Draws had a really good look, like whenever he was a solo act. He had that specific like print shorts and his hair and the tattoos and just without face paint.
The suicide tattoo.
Yeah, the Odie suicide.
Odie.
Odie.
But I think he had a good look for what he was. But slapping him in the red, white, and black face paint and color scheme.
He's gotta puke! He's gotta puke!
Yeah, that's me looking at Draws now in this LOD outfit. I think he looked much better before. And I didn't really have much else to say about this other than it wasn't bad until JR made a point of saying that Hawk is officially an auxiliary member of LOD now. That hurt. That hurt a little bit, not gonna lie. Felt a little pain for Hawk. And I continue to love commentary and a lot of other people just being confused about what the people's elbow is and why it's pure electricity. Because it is every time, but everybody is just, what does this do? What is going on here? They're always confused.
Stops the heart.
After the pin, he drives that elbow into the sternum. After the pin, an obvious rift happened in the ring where Draws and Hawk got in a bit of a scuffle. It was broken up by Animal. But then Animal and Draws walked up the ramp, leaving Hawk behind, and I really couldn't care less about that. I actually really liked the action here. The Rock is a great person to have in there because regardless of how weak this LOD story is, we know we'll get some entertainment out of him. But I can't say enough how much I don't care about this story if Hawk isn't going to be visibly inebriated all the time. That's about the only redeeming thing about it. Joe, what'd you have on this match?
Yeah, I don't have much to say about this really, other than you pointing out that The Rock's music was different this week than it was last week. It's now The Rock's music that we are familiar with, where he's saying all of his catchphrases and stuff in it. And I still love seeing the beginnings of the people's elbow and the camera work around it and how they're playing with it a little bit. Because I always thought, when I was a teenager, I always thought this was such a dumb move. But I now, watching it now, I get it. I get why it was so popular with the fans in the arena. And I also love that they used to incorporate this into the video games back then, too, which was really cool. So I definitely have different thoughts on it now as an adult. understanding a little bit how the business works than I did when I was watching it back then. So it's fun to see how it's evolving as far as the production aspect of it.
The one thing I thought about, you hear The Rock's music, I was like, oh, cool, we're going to see a Rock match here. Wasn't real sure who he was going to be up against. And then I hear the LOD 2000 music and draws, and I just thought to myself, could we have a more lopsided card here? Someone like Draws, who's working with the all but dead LOD 2000 at this point. This is the third or fourth revised push that they've tried to give them since they've came back. And then we have The Rock, who's only eclipsed by Stone Cold right now. Other than that, the fans just go crazy for him. Joe, you said the move didn't really mean much to you. Really, The Rock. I'm not going to say I wasn't a Rock fan. I just didn't really care. I didn't really root for The Rock that much. But I think going back and rewatching not just his moves get developed, but the character get developed, to see how he went from the fans calling for his death a year ago to being one of the biggest stars. It's a really cool thing to watch, and I got to give him a lot of credit that when I was young, I probably didn't.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm in that same boat. I never disliked The Rock, but I was never in the wrestling shirts that I owned. I did not own a Rock shirt. I'll put it that way.
Well, and to be honest with you, Stone Cold either. I always liked Stone Cold, but I wasn't quote unquote a Stone Cold fan.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. I had Mankind shirts and Undertaker and Kane, and those were my people.
Yeah,
the freaks and oddity. No, not the true oddities. We'll get into that later.
Watch what you say there.
But
careful.
Yeah. No, I do know what you mean. Both of you, really. It has been really cool seeing the evolution of all of this, especially knowing now where he ends up. This is how you build the biggest, the most paid man in Hollywood.
Yeah, it's just really nostalgic to go back and watch the rise to fame.
And now the guy is literally selling hair products, and he's completely bald. But he sells hair products that people buy.
Yeah.
That's the level he's at this point.
The Rock's version of Goop.
A ketchup popsicle to a woman in white gloves he could sell at this point.
All right, let's keep going, because we got to go back to Michael Cole. He was at Stone Cold Steve Austin's locker room, and he literally started this by knocking on the door, yelling, Mr. Austin, could you please shed some light on this ladder that they're talking about, please?
Such a pipsqueak.
I had to start with it. The moment I fucking heard him, you can't be serious, Michael Cole. You're actually going to start. This was Mr. Austin twice. We got exactly the same fucking pipsqueak squill out of him.
I think we deserve some explanation as to what this letter is, sir. Austin did answer Michael Cole, but only to say that he has been advised not to answer any questions and that some answers will be forthcoming later. We also got the explanation here that the Outlaws, the New Age Outlaws, that is, have continued hanging out with Motley Crue, and that is who's going to be performing on the stage there.
Gonna need rehab soon.
Backstage again, Vince's lawyers finally left that closed room. They were bewildered that Vince, quote, he just doesn't get it. That then took us to the Outlaws intro music and footage of the New Age Outlaws coming to the top of the ramp with X-Pac to introduce Motley Crue, who then came out and performed Wild Side for us. The band sounded decent through most of this, but Vince Neil was pretty damn flat through half the song. And a side note, I can't remember a time where Mick Mars didn't look like Death Warmed Over compared to the rest of the band, even in the midst of their heavy, heavy drug addictions. I do love that Vince Neil wore a shirt that said fucker on it, and someone had to put a piece of gaffer's tape over the letter U before they came out. After that, we broke to commercial and came back to Vince McMahon continuing to berate his lawyers for their perceived ineffectiveness. So before we move along, and I can't remember if it's come up before, but for those of you that don't know, Joe is our resident semi-professional musician, so I'm going to go to you first here. What did you think about the legal angle that we've got going on here, but also Motley Crue and this weird, sometimes down-tempo medley version of Wild Side that we got from them?
Yeah, I'm definitely not a legal professional, But
No.
I did enjoy Steve Austin's reaction to Michael Cole because he was saying, we will make a statement later tonight. And I was wondering, does he have some kind of like goofball attorney or something that we're going to see later? So that got me a little excited to see what it is that he's talking about, because that's not your typical Stone Cold Steve Austin reaction, is that we'll make a statement later tonight. So I enjoyed that. As far as Motley Crue, the first thing I thought was that Motley Crue is an interesting choice here in 1998. They are past their prime. And I was thinking during this performance, I was saying this had to be in support of their greatest hits album or something. And it was.
And then, there it was.
Yeah. So it almost, parts of it sounded recorded, like it was a backing track of some sort. I think Vince Neil was singing live, but parts of it sounded like it was like pre-recorded or something. I don't know.
He sounded bad enough. It was definitely live for a lot, at least.
Well, he sounded pretty damn good compared to how he sounds now in 2025. Oh, wow. But he's basically always sounded like that, he did here. So yeah, I mean, it was fine. I don't know. It was just a weird. There's no connection here. They're not from Wisconsin. 1998 is way past their prime, so I didn't really get it. Yeah, they're this crazy break the rules type of band, and maybe that's what they wanted to do, was form some kind of connection with DX. But yeah, all they did was perform. They didn't do anything else. So I thought it was just there.
I'll start with Michael Cole and the Mr. Austin. At the beginning, I told you from last week, I forgot about the letter being stuffed into Vince's pocket. But the moment they started making that a point, I was pretty sure I remembered where this was going. And then the moment here where Austin said I'm not going to spoil it yet for later in the episode, but that was when I was, okay, that's definitely what I remember is going to happen. So you don't really know that watching it live, but just more leading into why Austin is dressed. He's not just sneaking in the building. He's got his fucking wrestling outfit on. So good to see that. We might actually see him in the ring tonight. The Motley Crue with DX, I gotta be honest, I was hoping when I saw DX come out and we had the band there, I was hoping it was just going to be the DX house band and we were going to get that awesome live cover
that
of the DX song.
Sounding guitar.
But we ended up getting a washed up Motley Crue. I don't know. This was fine, I guess. I don't necessarily have any complaints about it. But if you came for wrestling and wrestling storytelling, It was a waste of 5 minutes.
Yeah, agreed there. I didn't quite know what to think of it. Mr. Neil, if you continue down this path, you're going to wind up engaging in questionable plastic surgery, and you're going to look like the Tiger Man eventually. You need to stop this, Mr. Neil.
And can you cover up that U?
All right. Well, let's get the fuck away from that and into our next match. Kane defeats Gangrel with Christian by pinfall in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. I love that Kane had to walk out in front of that drum kit. It ruined Kane's entrance for me.
It ruined Gangrel's entrance too.
But should have had him destroy it.
The whole feeling was just that we were just jobbing Kane out on his entrance here.
No, we've never done that before.
Yeah. No, not with Kane.
I also love the theme of this match. We had two supernatural entities, one immortal and the other able to call down lightning and fire, duking it out in the ring. Nobody was safe. Perfect for the Wisconsin crowd.
Well, one of them's like 250 years old.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And as much as I've liked revisiting Gangrel here in 1998, there is nothing at all that leads me to believe that Gangrel could mount any kind of challenge to this big motherfucker. And Gangrel has been great, but Kane's got like a foot on him, at least 50 pounds on him, probably a lot more. I don't know. It didn't seem like it was really that possible for this to be much of a challenge.
It wasn't really.
Yeah, I especially loved the visual of Gangrel's face as Kane latched onto his goozle for a chokeslam. It was a great view. Then after the bell, as Gangrel and Christian were failing to mount any real revenge offense against Kane, Edge came out and attacked Kane with them. That still did nothing to harm Kane, but then Edge, Gangrel, and Christian left through the crowd together. We all know that Kane is a jobber. right? But he sure didn't look like one here. I really liked how basically nothing anyone did to him hurt him. This was a callback to when he first showed up and he was doing the Michael Myers thing, sitting up out of everything, no-selling everything. It got me a little nostalgic for the way things used to be with Kane before he became the biggest jobber in the entire company here. That just mysterious monster mowing through everybody around him. But then here they added the cherry that somehow Edge is now alongside Gangrel and Christian. So I don't know if we missed something on Heat or what, but I always preferred the Brood as a trio more than a duo, and I like where that's going. So Ryan, what'd you have on all this?
I thought this was a great match. Gangrel and Kane, their styles obviously mesh very well. We have a lot of synergy with their gimmicks here. This is what you would think. Kane manhandled Gangrel through the entire match. Christian tried to help out, pulling Kane outside the ring, but Kane just shrugged him off. Gangrel attacked Kane from behind. He shrugged that off and started whooping on Gangrel again. So I thought they did the proper things here to make Kane look like a monster again. As you were pointing out, biggest jobber in the world, but they were doing their best to make him look like a legitimate monster here again, including after he lands the choke slam, we have first Christian and then Edge, all three of them together can't put a dent in Kane. He sits up and they just scatter and give up trying to do anything against this fucking enormous guy. You put those three people together and I'm not sure they equal Kane. But I don't know if we missed anything because it almost seemed like this was the surprise that Edge is with them now, right?
Yeah, commentary was pretty surprised by it, so yeah.
Yeah, so I think this is his joining of the Brood, and I'm right there with you. The Brood is a 3-man crew here, is definitely the high point of their fame, so I'm definitely looking forward to the full-on Brood now, and they're trying to recover Kane's reputation here. What do you think, Joe? Is he still a jobber?
He is a jobber forever. Forever jobber. But I agree. I think this made everybody look pretty good. I think that Bartlett, I think you're right. It is a mismatch, especially they're making Kane out to somewhat look like a monster again. But Gangrel gets some help here from Christian, and the surprise was Edge. So even though they still can't bring Kane down, they knocked him down, and then they took off into the crowd, which is again part of what the Brood does, if I remember correctly. So yeah, seeing the three of them together is really cool here, because I think that we're really going to enjoy what the Brood does from here on out. They're not calling them the Brood yet, obviously, but there's going to be some really cool shit with them.
Yeah, and thank you for pointing that out, because they definitely did not use the Brood or any variation of that here talking about them. Still unnamed.
Enigmas.
Yes, mysterious, skulking around up in the rafters. So after that, backstage, we came back to Michael Cole, just as he was getting dismissed by Shane McMahon for being the peon that Cole is. The McMahon family is going to have a statement for us, apparently. But first we went to Steve Austin coming out to the ring. Austin went over many of the same points we talked about last week. The gun was a toy, Vince wouldn't get hurt, etc. And the camera gave us a great view of a crowd sign that said Pissy Pants McMahon. I popped for that. But moving over to the legal document then, Austin said it's a new legal contract to work and wrestle in the WWF and guarantees at least one title shot in the WWF. Austin got interrupted by McMahon though. He was getting wheeled out by the Stooges to the top of the ramp once again. Vince can't do anything about the contract that apparently got signed without Vince's knowledge or consent, but Vince stated to us that since Austin was gainfully employed, Austin would be wrestling in an I Quit match against Ken Shamrock later on tonight. We got some details then that apparently Shane McMahon was the one to sign Austin's contract. Shane entered the ring with Austin and started to cut a promo on Vince that at first came across pretty well. Things got a little too close to home then when Shane claimed that years of lying is what it takes to cover up for Vince and protect the family name. That aged beautifully. And this ended up going long for my taste, at about the point that Shane yelled that his grades were never good enough was about the same point that Shane lost the audience, I felt. And things just wound down from there. And as Shane left the arena, Austin tossed him a Steve Weiser. So, Ryan, I really like the inclusion of Shane McMahon here. I love Shane. I always have. It was a great swerve to have Shane be the impetus of keeping Austin around. But this segment felt like it was way too heavy-handed with the Daddy Please Love Me theme to it. What'd you think of it?
It certainly was, but I don't think I hated it at all, really. I thought it worked, although it did go a bit long. What was this? Like a 68-minute segment, I think. But it was long. But I thought Shane McMahon did a fantastic job here.
Yeah.
He, just like his dad, we did not like on commentary. Add some drama, put a mic in front of his face and tell him to act like an asshole. And I thought he's now infinitely better. And he's going to get better and better, because I do agree with you. He started to get just a little long-winded and started to lose the crowd. But I think for the majority of this segment, it had the drama, it had the feeling. I was listening to what he said, and this is proving the point that this is the greatest soap opera of all time. Like when we were sitting there waiting about who it was, and Vince leading into it saying, "You're tearing this family apart." Just all of that was great. I thought it was fantastic. They probably could have trimmed it up just a bit, but again, they're going to work on that with Shane. And then icing on the top, we go to break, come back, and we have Austin backstage saying, "Hey kid." Shane turns around and he tosses him a beer. Bartlett, I know you're not a huge football fan.
Oh, no, I thought of it too.
Okay, yeah. This is the Coca-Cola Mean Joe Green commercial recreation, so that just made it even more beautiful. I loved it. I thought it was great.
Hey, kid.
Yeah.
I always loved hearing Joe Green say that. Yeah, this is really good stuff here. So this goes back to Austin telling Pipsqueak, Michael Cole, that we have a statement later. And I have to say, I didn't remember that this was going to happen. Once Shane appeared and started talking, I thought, oh, okay, I remember this now. But you don't see this coming. If you're watching this in 1998, it's a surprise, because Shane, like you said, he was a commentator on Sunday Night Heat and one of the Raw episodes, but that's it. That's all we've seen from Shane. So this is really his character debut
Absolutely.
In a way. And yeah, long-winded a little bit, but he's standing next to Steve Austin, so it doesn't really matter that much. He's just a kid. But this was great. I forget who I was listening to recently, but they were talking about how all the wrestlers really loved Shane McMahon. And
I've always heard that, yeah.
And they said one of the reasons was because Shane really wanted to be involved in everything. Like they said that he worked on the ring crew when he first started actually working. So like setting up, tearing down the ring and stuff like that. So just earning the respect, I guess. But this was pretty good, I think, for not ever being on TV really before this. I thought this came off really well. I thought Vince was doing his typical overacting. In some ways it hurt this a little bit, but not really. I don't know. It was on the line for me. I thought he's overacting a little in a way that it's not that funny, because he was doing the crying, and the crying just looked like way too fake to me. So I don't know. Vince was not at his best during this, I don't think, but I really did enjoy Shane and Steve Austin together.
I definitely recognized the callback to, I guess, the Mean Joe Green commercial. I knew it was a commercial, and I almost typed in a little thing about, because I thought it was Franco Harris. I don't know why, but I thought it was Franco Harris tossing the kid.
Same team,
But I thought it would be better just to leave it off and not make myself sound like a complete idiot. When it comes to Shane here, though, I think maybe the distinction for me was that I was behind it and I loved it, and the crowd did too, whenever Shane's theme was "fuck you" to Vince. But at a certain point, there's a clear line there where it shifts to "fuck me" for being your son, and that's where everything got lost, at least as far as I'm concerned, and that's where the crowd stopped.
Whiny.
Yeah, the crowd stopped cheering for him in that. And that's why I say I think he lost the crowd there. But like you said, he's in with Stone Cold Steve Austin, so it doesn't matter.
I guess from a creative aspect, though, there's a couple different ways you can go with it, which I think is a good thing. They can have Shane turn on Austin. They could have Shane and Vince have a thing for the next couple months. Like there's a lot of ways they can go with it, which is good.
We could eventually bring in other family members.
Yeah.
Sure.
To have other roles.
Looking forward to one of those specifically. All right, so let's keep it going. Into our next match. The Godfather versus Tiger Ali Singh with Babu ends in a double disqualification in 4 minutes and 32 seconds. I was so excited for this match. You have no idea.
Oh, yeah. You told us last week.
I think Tiger looked great in his ring gear at the start of this. I know we were talking about his shitty suits there last week, but I thought the way he came out looked pretty cool. He's got the silk Indian style robe and the silk wrestling pants and all that stuff, the singlet. The match started off fast paced. Tiger was up on the Godfather, and while Tiger gave up a few inches to the Godfather, it kind of looked like the Godfather was giving up a few pounds of muscle to Tiger. I don't know if that's just like the way that they're laid out, but Tiger looked a lot more buff than the Godfather. The crowd didn't give a single shit about this match, though. There wasn't even a pop for the Godfather when it started, and barely a cheer or clap during the action. And the DQ was called because both competitors were fighting. And I don't know how else to describe that, but here we are. All in all, I don't think this was terrible, but it also wasn't anything to write home about. And it does give me the distinct impression that, like, Tiger never had a chance because he was really never given one. These segments that he would do with paying $500 for whatever to happen, like, those were all good. We've all mostly liked those as far as I can remember, but they were few and far between. There were no matches to support them. And now this is just, it's too little too late, I think. So, Joe, what'd you think of this match?
I have to say I disagree with you because remember when they held a press conference to announce this guy's signing?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And then they pissed away a whole bunch of time until they started the $500 gimmick.
Yeah, I don't know why. Maybe he got injured or something, but I would say they gave him a chance by just having that fucking press conference for him to announce his signing. But yeah, Tiger Ali Singh is this huge roided out guy, but his gimmick kind of sucks. It's just basically a rehashing of $1 Million Man in many ways. It's like a 1998 version of $1 Million Man. That's exactly what it is. When the Godfather came out, there's no hose, and I thought, what the hell is going on? But then he said, Tiger doesn't deserve hose, and I popped. I liked that. And I also popped when JR mentioned the pay window in this match. I liked hearing JR say that. And yeah, the ref calls for the bell because they wouldn't stop breaking the rules of pro wrestling. You know how you constantly see the referees tell guys like, hey, none of that.
No closed fist.
No closed fist. Or like counting to 5 in the corners and all that stupid shit that never stops a match. But here it did. So mark this day down in history.
Here it does. When you need it to, it can.
Yeah. Somebody stop the damn match.
I agree. Tiger Ali Singh never had a chance. The Babu Kabasi balls deep that we got from last week. I'm glad that they reminded us of that because that's entertaining. JR also does confirm this is Tiger Ali Singh's in-ring debut for Monday Night Raw. So this is the first time we've seen him in the ring. That news conference was like a year ago, wasn't it? I feel like it was last fall.
It was a while ago, yeah.
And then, whatever, this match, you don't have the hose with the Godfather, and does the audience even give a shit at that point? Like, that's the Godfather's thing. You bring the hose out with him, everyone loves it, and everyone goes away happy. The ending really didn't do this match any favors. The best way when I saw this ending, I thought about modern NFL to go back to football, and where sometimes it feels like people are flagged for hitting people too hard, and that seemed to be what caused the disqualification here was you guys hit each other too hard. DQ. So I really didn't like the ending. Tiger Ali Singh, I don't think is probably long for the world. We might see him once or twice more on Raw, and I feel like that's probably going to be it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I agree with you on that one. I don't know that for a fact or anything. I haven't looked
No,
ahead. But
right. I don't either.
The company will never be the same after that.
Well, after that, we went backstage again to Michael Cole. He was getting a quick word from Vince McMahon asking how Vince felt. Vince was initially surprised that Cole had the balls to speak to him, but then completely ignored Cole's question, which then quickly took us into our next match. Kaientai with Yamaguchi-san defeats the Oddities. This was Golga, Kurgan, Shaggy 2-Dope, and Violent J, the ICP, by disqualification in 3 minutes and 45 seconds in an 8-man tag team match. And that's all I've got. Ryan, what did you think of this?
That it was another instance of Kaientai playing midget match fill-in, because that's what we got again. And we got a heavy dose of ICP, so I'm going to cut it off right there. That's enough said.
Yeah, this crowd certainly didn't give a shit about any of it, and neither did I. But at least Kaientai is actually wearing real wrestling gear now and not like jean shorts and Air Jordans.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah, the Asian Mikey Whipwrecks of the WWF.
Yeah.
I do just really want to say Dick to go. I want to make sure to fit that in before we move on. Speaking of moving on, next up we got a recap of the tearful pleadings of Shane McMahon earlier. The recap started at about the same spot where Shane lost the audience, which I thought was funny. And we then got footage of Vince being wheeled out to his limousine by the Stooges, with the Stooges assuring Vince that they would make sure that Austin lost that match later on tonight.
Good night, Mr. McMahon.
We had a lot of Mr. McMahons here. That was followed by Ken Shamrock punking out Michael Cole on the microphone and then delivering a promo to Stone Cold Steve Austin. It wasn't bad. I continue to be proud of Kenny's promos. He's come a long way from where he first started. He keeps them short and to the point, and that's not bad. It could be a hell of a lot worse.
It's knuckle up time.
Yeah.
That's come on. Think about where he was and where he is now. That's light years of difference. He's on track to win promo of the year, most improved promo of 1998.
I mean, his brains are completely scrambled anyway.
That's true.
Yeah,
and then with all the steroids he's got flowing through his body.
Yeah, somebody told him somewhere that the steroids would help the concussion heal. and so he just said,
directly
line me up,
forehead.
Line me up for another chair shot then, pal. It'll all wash even in the end.
Steroids to the dome.
Yep.
Well, that quickly took us into our next match. Mark Marrow with Jackie defeats Goldust by disqualification in 2 minutes and 55 seconds. Goldust was humping the goddamn ropes when he climbed into the ring, and I popped. This started hard and fast, but then a Sable chant got going, and I lost faith in humanity for a second there before I remembered what state this was recorded in. Of course, the citizens of Wisconsin are going to want tits. I loved...
They like their milk.
Yeah.
Where are their values?
I loved Goldust kissing Jackie before then kicking Mark Marrow's balls through the ceiling. That was a great scene. That's what drew the DQ here.
Yeah.
But as we all know, we can't have nice things. While Marrow was still laying in the ring, Sable came out to cut a brief promo on Jackie. It was fucking terrible. In it, Sable challenged Jackie for the title, the women's title, at Survivor Series, and I already hate that. So, guys, I loved Goldust here, but I had originally assumed that the DQ finish, when I read about it, would be due to like some kind of Val Venus or maybe Terry run-in or something like that, but it wasn't. This was just straight bizarre-ass Goldust, and I loved it.
Straight old dick kicking is what
That's how you take care of a. That's how you take care of a serial cucker, dick kicking. Not Marrow here, obviously, but yeah, I did not love that Sable was tied into it at the end because I just felt like it was stealing some thunder from Goldust a little bit. I really just wanted to revel in Goldust, just kicking dick and being all right with it. Joe, what'd you think of all this?
Well, it was nice to see bits and pieces of the old Goldust. I agree with that. That was nice to see, especially when he planted a big one on Jacqueline. I really liked that. Also, commentary I mentioned it last week during the news segment, but commentary mentioned the celebrity death match that's coming up this week with Vince McMahon and Stone Cold Steve Austin. And Sable is, I hate to sound like a sexist degenerate, but she really needs to just stop talking. She needs to come out here and just wave at the crowd and then go away. Like every time she talks, it's so bad. It's so bad. I can't believe that she was as popular as she was.
Yeah.
And I just keep thinking that every time we watch this. And now we have to suffer through a match at Survivor Series with her stupid challenge that she made here to Jacqueline. So that's going to be real fun to watch, I'm sure.
And to go off of your confusion of why she was so big, at this point, I think we have multiple, and to be honest, even when she came in, if we include Sunny, there's always been people that have been far more attractive than her and way better on the mic, and in people's like Jacqueline's case, can actually wrestle. I agree that her stardom and just how much the fans loved her is confusing. I'm not saying I don't understand that people like giant tits, but you had better pick. You had better offerings in this company, yet she was the one that got skyrocketed. And we have this shit at the end where she comes out and challenges for this fucking woman's title. And going back to what we've been saying since we started our podcast, it was, there will be a new WWF Women's Champ. She's just the most robotic motherfucker. We talked about Ken Shamrock 2 seconds ago. He's bad enough as a promo, talking about someone who's basically needs to go out there, show off his body, and shut the fuck up. But you compare him to her, and we're talking fucking Shakespeare. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't understand it. And I haven't even talked about the match. I just been ranting about Sable, but the match was exactly what Goldust was supposed to be or should have been for the last month.
Yeah.
He was being properly bizarre here. So I liked that. One thing I don't understand, Mark Marrow has been doing this for a little while now, but I'm going to point it out finally. What the fuck is with him when he pulls up his pants? Like up to his belly button, and then like starts like he reminds me of Bob Backlund or something when he's doing that. I don't get it. It's stupid as fuck. I don't know why he's doing it, but I loved the ending, I guess. Goldust kissing Jacqueline, that was cool. Getting slapped, him grabbing his crotch, and then punting Mark's dick into next week. Like that was perfect. Goldust. That's what we want to see.
Yeah. Yeah. So as you were describing it earlier, Ryan, I came to realize that this whole time we've been, and what I think the case is she's just a speak and spell with tits. Because that's exactly what she sounds like. She sounds like a damn speak and spell. For our younger listeners out there, this was a toy that you had in the 80s where you had a little keyboard on there and you could type in words, and the speak and spell would say the words that you typed in, and it sounded like Sable.
Yeah, robotically say the words.
Boobies.
Not that fancy AI you're used to.
Yeah.
Talking to you now.
No, this was Sable quality coming at you. All right. So after that, we had the JVC Kaboom of the Week. And it was a look back at Raw last week where Al Snow took that guitar shot from Jeff Jarrett. Yet another instance of somebody becoming tit blind. But then we went backstage again to Michael Cole, who was there with Al Snow and Mankind, who will be taking on the Outlaws for the Tag Team Championship here. And I loved the potential for this buddy-buddy team-up, so let's go into our next match. The New Age Outlaws defeat Al Snow and Mankind by pinfall in 5 minutes and 28 seconds to retain the WWF Tag Team Championships. The children of Madison, Wisconsin love to shout "suck it." They were all in for it, and the camera made sure to give us a nice view. Rows and rows of prepubescent children just shouting "suck it." They love it.
crotch chopping.
Yep. And I do love that they gave Mankind and Al Snow separate entrances. They really know how to get a cheap pop out of the head gimmick, and I appreciate that. I didn't quite like Billy Gunn no-selling the headbutts from Al Snow at the start of this. It did pick up nicely after that, but that just felt a little cheap. Dick move. By and large, I liked most of this match. Mick Foley and Al Snow are good friends in real life, and you can see that chemistry in the ring. But again, this wasn't anything to write home about. I started to lose interest through about the same time that Mankind grabbed head for no reason, and that started a slight issue between himself and Al Snow, which eventually bled over into fighting among themselves, giving an opening for a surprise roll-up and the loss. But then after the bell, D'Lo Brown and Mark Henry came down to attack the Outlaws, and I am good with that. A program between the Outlaws and what's left of the nation sounds like that'd be pretty entertaining, so I like where that may be headed. And this ended up being a good enough way to kill some time, I thought, but I also think that I would get pretty burnt out on it if this dueling gimmick of Head and Socko kept going. Given the finish here, I don't think we have to worry about that. We may get 2 or 3 more matches out of them as a tag team, but I think it's going to be really short-lived. So, Ryan, what'd you think of this match?
I agree, and to be honest, I'll be surprised if we see a single mother tag team out of them, because they didn't win here. They're both kind of solo guys to begin with, but I did enjoy the 2 crazy guys teaming up here. I thought that was a good dynamic, and I thought it played out pretty well here. We had a pretty decent match from the start. Billy Gunn, I thought he looked pretty great, holding up Al in the sky for about 3 minutes before he dropped him down, like to start things off. And right around that time, JR says that the Ass Man is arguably the greatest pure athlete in WWF today. And I'm not sure I could disagree with him, because he really is, like, I think that is one of the things that I really overlooked when I was young, is someone like Billy Gunn.
Yeah.
I don't know. He's a great wrestler, I think. He has the look. The main thing he's missing is the mic. And if he was better on the mic, I think he could have really went far. He had the size, everything, and he was a good wrestler. So I thought all of that looked good. The action between everyone here was pretty solid. And then Mankind and Al Snow, as crazy people would do, start the fight with each other. I loved commentary. JR says Snow and Mankind, they're not on the same page. And the King came back and said, same page? I'm not sure either one of them could read. That was a great line from the King. And the inner fighting ends up giving the Outlaws the upper hand to win this match. But that isn't the end. We learn Mark Henry and D'Lo Brown appear to want these tag team belts. So it's cool that even though the nation has dissolved, Mark Henry and D'Lo are still together. And I, just like you, Bartlett, I'm all for a program between Henry, Brown, and the Outlaws. That sounds good to me.
You know, this was funny because when I was watching this, I thought about just general debate between people talking about, oh, the Attitude Era was so much better than wrestling is today. and I'm one of those people who obviously enjoys the Attitude Era much more than modern wrestling, but I think they would have a pretty strong argument on the other side if they were to look at this and say, well, there was a Socko and Head on this episode. Like, what the fuck is so great about Attitude Era? And that's just funny to think about that, but it does work well. This is what is working with these crowds. They want to see Hose. They want to see Sable's boobs. They want to see Deborah's boobs. they want to shake their styrofoam
see violence,
heads.
Blood.
Yes,
murder.
they want to see Vince McMahon get shot in the head in the arena.
They want to see his eyeballs blow out the front of his fucking head.
They want to see sock puppets. So that's where we are. And it's crazy. It's crazy that the things that were working back then was just insane.
God, I love the 90s.
Yeah. The Road Dogg, I noticed he looks like he maybe trimmed down a little bit and maybe hit the gym a little bit more too, because he looked a little bit different to me. He looked a little more lean than before. He probably has looked like that. I just haven't really noticed until tonight. And I also loved seeing Mankind kind of mocking that shake, rattle, and roll that Road Dogg always does. I thought that was pretty funny. So for a goofball match, this certainly had bigger names than Oddities and Kai and Tai, because that's that's a goofball match too, but this has a little bit more star power to it. I don't love the fact that D'Lo and Mark Henry got in the mix if we're going to do some triple threat tag team stuff, but maybe we won't. Maybe it's just going to be Outlaws versus those two guys. I don't know, but they are going to have to move on to something different now that they've already had their little feud with The Rock. I think that's probably pretty much over at this point. So if they're going to go up against the New Age Outlaws, I think that would be a good thing for both teams.
Yeah, and I definitely agree with that. I think we're just in a really weird time right now. We have, what would this be? October 26th. So about a month, maybe a lesser a week until the pay-per-view. I think we're just killing time until the pay-per-view with a lot of these people. Like we had The Rock with draws earlier. Like what the fuck does The Rock have to do with draws? Or what has the draws done to be with The Rock is a better way of putting it.
But I think to better point out Joe's point that he just made there about the Nation feud being gone is they didn't come out and interrupt in the Rock's match.
Yeah.
Rock didn't, and here it looks like they're starting a program with new people. We're going to forget about that, rightfully so.
Yeah, and I don't doubt any of that. I'm just saying that I think that we're in this weird time because I think Survivor Series is going to be a huge shift in all of the programs. So just and there's 16 men in this title tournament that they've got going on for Survivor Series. So that's a lot of brackets. That's a lot of opportunity for storytelling. And all of this has the potential to be shaken up by the end of that pay-per-view. We can have brand new feuds. We can have brand new storylines. We can do a lot with the pay-per-view that we're coming up on, I think. So I think that a lot of these matches are just not throwaway. We got to do something with Mankind here to get through to the pay-per-view. Why not put him with Al Snow for a night or two? So that's more what I'm getting at. We have just these random matchups on these episodes of Raw that we got to keep everybody hitting the pay window, really, until the pay-per-view.
And for me, an exciting thing about their Survivor Series coming up is I'm getting into the point where I remember a lot of what's going on, just like I did this night and last week and what was going to happen at Judgment Day. But I don't remember at all about this 16-man tournament. So I'm excited because I don't remember what happens here.
Yeah, I have to admit, and I'll take full accountability for it right now, whenever I first heard about it, was that last week we got the word, I looked ahead. I couldn't help myself.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah, this show loves spoilers.
Yeah, I am not going to spoiler anything. I will keep my mouth shut as best I can.
You're fired! Screw you!
But I won't mention it again, but I do think that there's a lot of potential for change-ups there.
You violated me!
We'll keep it going to our final match of the night. Steve Austin defeats Ken Shamrock with Jerry Briscoe, Pat Patterson, and Sergeant Slaughter by submission in 6 minutes and 16 seconds in an I Quit match. The match started fast and then quickly took advantage of the I Quit stipulations. That mainly means no disqualification. I liked Austin choking Shamrock with that leather vest. That looked cool. The fight dipped into the crowd briefly. The citizens of Wisconsin loved the idea of tasting blood up close and personal. They got a little bit of it there. And I liked Shamrock using the camel clutch. So that got me really excited for what other unique holds might get thrown in here. Spoiler, none. There were no others for an I Quit match, which was disappointing in its own right. But just as there were shenanigans with the Stooges, the ref got taken out. And then Mankind showed up to briefly apply the mandible claw to Shamrock. Austin took that opportunity to then blast Shamrock in the face with a chair. Don't worry, the steroids will fix it. Knocking him the fuck out. And just as the ref was waking up, Austin grabbed Shamrock's wrist and then raised it and tapped it a few times, making as if Shamrock was tapping out, even though Shamrock was basically comatose there. That is what got Austin the win in the I Quit match. But we weren't done there. The Stooges rushed the ring, and Patterson, Briscoe, Slaughter, they all took turns getting a stunner to the crowd's delight before we faded to black. So once again, I liked this match for what it was. I have no complaints, but it was more to just drive the story than to settle a score, for instance. There was only so much credit I could give it. I liked the Mankind interference, but I hope we get more than just these run-ins over the next couple weeks. Maybe a match between them, something, because the run-ins with Mankind and Shamrock back and forth just aren't doing it for me. But of course, that round of stunners for the Stooges, always welcome. Joe, what'd you think of this match and the way that Raw ended tonight?
Yeah, it's a 6-minute I Quit match, so it's not much really that's going to be memorable here, but I actually really enjoyed the finish, and I think Mankind getting involved was great. I think that anytime someone like Mankind has the opportunity to basically be in the ring at the same time as Stone Cold Steve Austin, or anyone for that matter, being in the ring at the same time with Stone Cold Steve Austin is going to give them a boost no matter what. So I think that's what this did for Mankind. And I like to see that because Mankind, as we know, he is going to get into the main event picture and he's going to stay there for a while. So maybe this is the start of that, where he's just getting these boosts every so often. So that was cool to see. And Ken Shamrock, Mankind, we know Mick Foley has taken some shots with chairs and falling off a cage and all that crazy shit that he did. But man, Ken Shamrock needs more recognition for just taking grand slam baseball swings with a chair to his dome, because...
And it shows, folks.
Yes. It shows, because he took one here. We remember that one that he took from The Rock, which was like one of the worst chair shots ever.
Jeez.
That he asked for, by the way.
He did. Yeah, he did ask for it. Give it to me.
For the fences with that swing.
Yeah. Yeah, some credit to Ken Shamrock for really... really taking one for the team here all the time.
For not caring about his brain.
Yes.
Steroids will fix it.
Knuckle up.
That's right. Knuckle up and inject it right into my fucking head. I thought this was pretty entertaining. I thought Ken Shamrock proved that he can go in the ring, at least with someone like Austin. I'd be interested in a program and a pay-per-view between these two. It was good wrestling. The biggest problem there is going to be, can Ken Shamrock build up to that match?
Yeah.
And with his lack of charisma and mic skills, I think that's probably the biggest question. But as far as ring work goes, I don't think there's any question at this point. We could have a good show between these two guys. Sadly, I had to take a piss and I paused it. Like as this match started, I was like, before this starts, let me pause it. And then I saw that there was only 6 minutes left, and I felt like I did myself a disservice there because I realized how short it was going to be and we weren't going to actually get a good main event I Quit match. So action was good enough. I wasn't crazy about the finish and not about the Mankind thing, because I'm perfectly fine setting up a Mankind program with Shamrock. We've shown those two guys could look great together, so I'm for that. But then the ref doesn't care that he clearly sees Stone Cold tapping Shamrock's arm. I thought that was a little bit weak, but I guess what the fuck ever. Logic doesn't matter. This is all about story, brother. So in the end, it does work. The crowd went crazy and I was happy. I got to see Stone Cold in the ring. It's been a while now. So this was a bit of a lead up to seeing Stone Cold back in the ring. I just feel like if you're going to make it an I Quit match, do something a little bit better than Stone Cold just grabbing Shamrock's arm and forcing it to tap and the ref saying, yep, that's good enough. So I wasn't crazy about that, but I think moving forward, it's still going to be pretty good. So I like where it's going. Just wish this could have ended better.
Yeah. All right. Well, as I said, we faded to black. So let's take it on over to highlights and lowlights. Ryan, why don't you take that first?
Again, it's the Austin McMahon story, right? That's my highlight. The match was entertaining enough. All of the storytelling, bringing in Shane O'Mac finally into the story element of this. That's all my highlight. The low light, oddities, ICP, Kai and Tai, whatever the fuck, no brainer, automatic low light.
No-brainer like Ken Shamrock.
Yeah.
Raw has been on fire for like the last 7-8 weeks now because we moved away from the Cahoots storyline and we are just balls deep in the Mr. McMahon versus Stone Cold storyline. So tonight, my highlight is the Shane McMahon surprise on tonight's episode because, like I said earlier, there's a couple different ways they can go with that, and Stone Cold Steve Austin has been the lone wolf here against McMahon and his stooges, which is great.
Yeah.
But now he has an ally in Shane McMahon, and Vince McMahon now has another enemy. And there's just so many ways they can go with that. And it's just going to be another 7-8 weeks of just awesome Raw episodes, probably, at least until Survivor Series. So that's my highlight. Minimal wrestling, hopefully. And my low light is going to be Michael Cole tonight because he
Mr.
just
Austin
came off like such a jackass tonight because first with the Mr. Austin, Mr. Austin.
He is.
And then the second part that pissed me off was Shane McMahon just completely tore his father's heart out of his chest. And then Michael Cole asks Mr. McMahon, so how do you feel right now? Or some bullshit like that. It's like...
And Vince was like, how do I feel?
Yeah, yeah. So my low light is Michael Cole. He just looked like a complete, total jackass tonight.
I love it. Fuck Michael Cole.
Mr. Shamrock, the steroids won't actually grow back any brain cells. You really need to be careful with that, sir. Okay, as I kept it simple.
It's knuckle-up time.
I kept it simple. I honorable mention to Shane McMahon. I do agree with both of you there. But for my highlight, I went with Goldust humping the ropes. It was just great.
Nice.
Great to have Goldust back and acting suitably bizarre.
Agree.
And again, low light, I could have very easily went with the oddities and Kai and Tai. But for my low light, I actually went with Motley Crue's lukewarm performance of Wildside.
I completely forgot about that already.
Yeah.
Thanks for reminding me.
It's just, if you're going to go to the effort of setting up a goddamn drum kit on the entryway and fucking up people's entrances, at least make it worth it. And it wasn't.
At least
Better
make it the DX house band.
I was going to say, it better be Sawyer Brown.
Yeah. That would have been okay. Wisconsin probably would have liked it a lot more.
Might be a good idea is that if we maybe not necessarily have a formal segment, but sneak in there our favorite signs of the night.
I mean, we do bring that up at times.
Yeah. D-Lo fan club.
Because tonight was Pissy Pants McMahon. But yeah, I think that might be a cool idea moving forward. I'll have to make sure I pay attention to that and point out what my favorite sign of the night was.
Okay.
One of my favorite things to do with signs are looking up any signs that have a www.com and seeing if they're still around. I have yet to find one that is, but
yeah. Well, I went down that rabbit hole of, what was it, something in the Pervy Pirates like a couple weeks ago.
Brazzers.com.
Yeah.
About 2 years ago, I emailed, someone put up their AOL email address, and I emailed them, but did not get a response.
I accidentally landed on Pornhub.com.
Oh.
It's research.
This looks like Sable.
It's research, sir. It's okay. All right. So, Joseph, do you have any contemporary wrestling news from on and around October 28th, 1998 for us?
Yes, I do. A quick update on the competition over at WCW. Not sure if you guys remember, but on October 25th was the disaster that was known as Halloween Havoc 1998. A couple things happened here. This was the Hulk Hogan versus the Warrior rematch, I guess you could call it, where Hulk Hogan tried to light a fireball to throw at the Warrior and almost burned his hand off on a pay-per-view. And also Goldberg versus Diamond Dallas Page was the main event, and the feed cut off for everyone at the very beginning of that match. So nobody got to see the main event for the title unless they were in the arena.
Wow. Was that a Beware of Dog event?
Yeah. So not a good night for WCW, although surprisingly only 62% thumbs down rating from the Observer readers, so it could have been worse. Dave Meltzer gave the Hogan versus Warrior match a negative 5-star review.
True. Good Lord.
Yeah, not a good night for
He loved it.
WCW. Now the estimate for Triple H's return is December 1st, so he is probably going to miss Survivor Series and not be a part of that tournament. Chyna's storyline of getting her off TV is so that she can have reconstructive facial surgery. The surgery is to repair an underbite and painful jaw problems resulting from it. It isn't as much cosmetic as to reduce the jaw pain, although it is a little bit of both. That's a Dave Meltzer quote there. The part of the big bodyguard for Motley Crue on Raw was Andrew Martin, who is going to be known as Test.
I didn't notice him.
Yeah,
I didn't notice it either, and I'm not sure if he's referring to Motley Crue's performance tonight or when they were on the bus last week. I'm thinking it might have been the bus episode, but I'm not sure. Steve Austin will be handing out an award on MTV on December 7th, and in January he will appear in an episode of Silk Stockings.
Ooh.
So that's exciting. An Undertaker comic book is set to debut in January. I'm not sure if that's a real thing or not, but that's what Dave Meltzer is reporting here.
Wonder if it lasted any longer than the Warrior Man's comic book.
There will be another England-only pay-per-view on December 6th, so that'll be after Survivor Series. Dave Meltzer says that although the WWF tried to portray the members of Motley Crue as big WWF fans, in a radio interview before their appearance, they didn't even know who DX was.
God.
I know that's hard to believe. Now, the last piece of news here is that Rolling Stone did a story on Stone Cold Steve Austin, and he may be on the cover in November 1998. However, I did look this up, and it turns out that it was Alanis Morissette on that cover, not Stone Cold Steve Austin. So,
still a cool cover then, though.
Yes, a little bit of fake news reported there by Dave Meltzer.
Gave us a jagged pill.
Yes. And December 1998 was Jewel. So, yeah, Steve Austin did not make the cover of Rolling Stone in 1998, which is a little disappointing, but there is a story on him in the magazine in the November 1998 issue. And that is all this week.
All right. Thank you for that. Illuminating as always. I could look at some Jewel.
It's not
a
and
bad
Alanis Morissette.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Not some bad options to have on your cover then, rather than a large, angry, bald man.
Drinking some beer.
Yeah.
Hey, kid.
Take a cold one.
And that's it, folks. We are done with this one. I want to thank you again for joining us. If you like what we're doing here and want to connect with us, you can email us at WRASSLINRAW. Just add @gmail.com at the end of that to submit questions or comments. Check us out on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and on every podcast subscription platform. While you're there, don't forget to follow and subscribe to get every episode of Wrasslin Raw coming to you every week. Give us a 5-star review and tell all of your friends to tune in to the most litigious Monday Night Raw review podcast on the airwaves. So we're going to be taking a week off to do our Thanksgiving traveling. And then next time on Wrasslin Raw, we're going to be taking a look at the Raw that aired on November 2nd, 1998, with matches featuring The Brood, officially named like that in my research at least.
Very nice.
Steven Regal, and many more. So, for Joe and Ryan, I'm Jason, and this has been Wrasslin Raw.